So Antony's done a big interview with the Athletes. Interesting stuff, actually, from the Brazilian, talking about the big change in his life, saying you come from nothing and now have practically everything with such ease. It's difficult to deal with all of this. I don't use this as an excuse for my performances. I demand a lot of myself to be always playing well. I always set out objectives. More goal participations, assists where I need to improve. I'm always looking at them to ensure that I'm constantly improving. I'm writing down more goals this season and I'm looking at them every day. Frank LeBoeuf is with us, Stevie and Don obviously aside as well. It's interesting, Antony is someone who we've criticised heavily because of his big price tag, because of the lack of impact he's had since coming from the Eredivisie. But this was interesting, he talked about growing up in the favelas, about having no money, about how making that jump from having nothing to everything inevitably, you know, does have an effect on you. You grew up in a very working class background. Obviously, I was not in the favelas, you know, but still, it is a big jump to go from someone of that age to be able to afford Ferraris, to be able to do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've got empathy in what he's saying. At the same time, he's been away from Brazil for 4 years. You know, he left in 2020, so it's been an awful long time. But I think what he's saying there is he's trying to reset himself. Yeah. And he's probably looked back and he's reflected and he's probably thought, well, I've come from nothing. I've really struggled. My family have struggled. It's been really difficult. No running water, etc., etc., etc. Now he can't afford the Ferrari, he can afford the nice apartments. So maybe in his mind, I got a little bit big time. Maybe he's trying to reset himself. You can't really argue with anything he said there, apart from the fact that, as I said, it's been 4 years. So him resetting now, you can only now judge him on what he does going forward.
How easy is that? Did you have to do that? Did you ever have a look in the mirror and kind of say, look...
A little bit. I mean, slightly different.
I remember you said when you drove your Ferrari back to Newcastle one time, and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah, what am I doing? I remember, I mean, when I was at Hartlepool United, my wages was £27.50. Yeah. I was a YTS player. And I signed for Liverpool when Stevie was there, and I got £500. Yeah. That's a massive jump in the scheme of things. And then later on, when I was at West Ham, when I earned a little bit more money and I had a Ferrari, and I took it back to Gateshead to see my mum and dad, and I parked it in the street where we grew up in, and my days, the looks that I got, and I thought, what on earth am I doing? Right. Bringing a Ferrari into Gateshead, into 21 Chestnut Gardens. What am I doing? Get a grip. So on Antony, yes. All right, let's give him a little bit of a clean slate, even though we've seen what we saw last season, who was nowhere near good enough. Let's see what he does this season.
I'm not really buying it.
I find it really interesting. Like, it's just really the human aspect of it all.
Had he come from the favela to Manchester United, I would have gotten every single thing he said. Yeah. But I'm not getting it. He went to Ajax. So it's the same thing, but what did he do at Ajax?
Well, he did well at Ajax.
Flourished at Ajax.
Yes.
And so he's taking the next step to United. This isn't like isn't like getting somebody that's homeless and sticking them in a castle.
But is this not an element of, right, I've gone to Ajax, that's my stepping stone, and now I'm at Manchester United, now I've arrived.
But when you put a strip on, Dan, right, you never think, if anything, of where you come from, what you're doing, how much... No player ever in the history of the game would ever be wrapped up in any competitive game thinking about other things rather than what your job is on.
But what about the preparation for that? Like maybe...
We'll give him credit for being smart. He's got a reputation now that he's trying to get rid of. Right. And all the things he's saying in this interview are the right things to say. Yeah. And if you want to take it for what it is, then it's, you know what, I like this. He's maybe taking responsibility and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. But it all comes down to the same thing. The bottom line, talk's easy peasy. Right. That's the easy bit. Yeah. Go and do it. But what he's trying to do here is try and get rid of that reputation that he's created for himself over particularly the last 12 months.
Frank, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I like what he said, but I'm with the guys and mostly Stevie. I think it's too late. Yeah, you shouldn't forget where you come from, and it helps you to keep your feet on the ground. But I think he forgot it. And the body language that he showed to the world, the behavior that he showed to the world, didn't make me think that he was thinking about his past and when he was living in the favelas. You know what I love about Ronaldo? Even at the top, he showed, you know, that he wanted to fight, that he wanted to respect the football. At a certain point, I felt that this player forgot a little bit where he was coming from. that he was taking it easy because he was getting the money. It's understandable because it's an easy way. But I like the fact that he wants to reset. If he does so, good for me. But I've had time to believe that he's going to be a fighter suddenly, that he's going to chase back the ball, that he won't complain, that he won't tease the player that he faces. I want to see that. I will be very surprised if he changes his mind and his way of behaving, because you know you don't chase out your natural aspect of your behavior.